Iran's defense minister says Tehran had given the US information about the import of a chemical nerve agent to Syria by anti-Damascus insurgents 8 months ago. Brigadier General Hossein Dehghan says Washington paved the way for a chemical attack in Syria by ignoring Iran's warnings months ago. Dehghan also said that America's probable military action in Syria is aimed at weakening Syrian government forces in favor of Takfiri militants there. This as similar comments were made by Iran's foreign minister on Sunday. Mohammad Javad Zarif said Tehran had sent a formal note to the US through the Swiss embassy on the transfer of sarin gas to Syria by extremist groups. For more on this, let's talk to Nagham Salman, Syrian political commentator, joining us from Washington. Welcome to the programme, ma'am. Mr. Salman, first of all, why do you think Washington ignored the information that Tehran provided?
Well, first of all, good evening. I think Washington has its plan in the Middle East, and they ignored not only Iran's warning, but even Russia and another report. We know that the U.S., they have their plan not even on this in Syria, they have it in all the Middle East. And today we have this confusion in the U.S. Political scenario where the president wants to still a temporary action while the Congress is asking for a strategy. So the American plan is to hurt and to weaken the Syrian government and to build up an opposition. But the question is what kind of opposition they are building or they are trying to support. We all know that the Al-Qaeda, they are working and they exist in Syria, and most of the military groups, they are working now in Syria, they are from Al-Qaeda. So the U.S., unfortunately, they are not making any kind of the war against the terrorism. On the contrary, they are fighting side by side with Al-Qaeda in Syria.
Indeed. I mean, we know that the United States is making threats of a physical military attack on Syria. But to what extent do you think Iran and, for that matter, Russia would become involved in the Syrian crisis physically?
Well, if we go back to the Iranian declarations, we see that Iran mentioned that any military attack against Syria will spread in all the region, and it will not stay in the borders of Syria, which means that Iran will be involved in one way or another. Russia says that they will not be involved in any war against Syria, side by side with Syria and against any country. But Russia puts all the possibilities and all the Russian expertise and everything Syrian government needs in case the attack will be happen. So I think that Iran and Russia, they will not abandon Syria. Of course, they will be involved, but maybe will not be involved in the war for Syria. But they would support the Syrian government. They would support the Syrian army as they always did, and this is what we also expect as Syrian citizens.
Indeed. And will the world allow the United States to get away with another war without a UN mandate this time around?
Well, I think that in case the U.S. will make or will attack Syria, we know that it will not stay in the Syria. It will be a regional war. It's not only about Iran. We are talking about Lebanon. We are talking about Israel. The Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad, today declared and announced that any attack against Syria will spread and it will be a regional war. And here we are talking about the possible involvement of Iran and Israel and Hezbollah and Lebanon. So USA should reconsider this military attack because some experts say that U.S. plan is to attack Syria, maybe to topple the Syrian government and then move to attack Tehran. But this is one of the options, one of the scenarios that the experts talk about. But in case this will happen, so the Syrian government, Iran government, and even Hezbollah, and maybe some Palestinian resistant groups will not permit this.
Right. Well, we'll leave it there for the time. Many thanks to Nagham Salman, Syrian political commentator from Washington. Thanks for your time there, ma'am.